Today is April 20th. It's 4:20, and we have ourselves Ben Sarbacker on the podcast. Decky Brimless, how are we?
I'm great, Andy 20s. I'm having a blast, dude. And I think it's Sarbacher, but, we can do anything we want on the 420, and all our 420ans know, and that's just obvious. But, yeah, man, we have Ben Sarbacher on the podcast today. You'll kind of hear our background on our connection with Ben throughout the podcast. But Ben is a social media guru. Guy runs like 7 different Instagram and TikTok pages. So naturally we call him Meme Guy Ben. Other people call him that as well. He's also one of our producers and filmers and head stream guys for the Date Night podcast. We start out the podcast talking a lot about that and the trials and tribulations we've been running in through creating this production, but like we're truly proud of it, like truly proud of it. Ben has been a huge asset to it, and the guy absolutely rips.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. Ben has been a tremendous asset to the Date Night podcast. He reached out to us August, September of last year, and he's become a great friend. And I'm super stoked for you guys to hear this conversation of us unpacking his journey and kind of where we're all at today. Enjoy. This is so much better to have a wingman in the studio, bro.
You've been flying solo.
Yeah, wait a second. Have I been replaced?
Yes,
I'm
100%.
I'm already doing your camera shit for you, so basically.
Oh, jeez.
I was telling this to Ben on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we set up the live stream test run here in the studio for the Date Night podcast. And Ben and I were up here finagling with all the cords. And I let him know right away that I am the wingman when it comes to tech. I know the gist and I get the idea where everything belongs, but I don't know the full scope. And I don't know how to, I don't know everything, but I know enough to help. And then I was like, Ben, you're the lead here. You show me what you know, and then I'll just add to it, because I'm not going to lead you, because Decky is the lead, Marcus is the lead, and I'm the wingman. And Ben stepped in perfectly and nailed it for the test run. And then we brought that test run to the Date Night podcast on Wednesday night and streamed on Twitch successfully.
Dude,
Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like I've done a little bit of everything, to the point where if you just put me in a new situation, I've probably dicked around with it a little bit, but I haven't quite I haven't quite figured it out. But everything's a Google search away based off the knowledge that I have now. So that's pretty much what the other night was just, oh, don't know how to do this, Google.
Yeah, totally. Well, I just got to say, first and foremost, congratulations to both of you for pulling off what was a damn near perfect Twitch live stream at First Draft. I know talking off air, and I'm sure we'll talk on air a little bit about it too, but there was a lot of steps and a lot of things that go into making that look like a crisp, clean TV show. Legitimately, we had 70 people tuned into the Twitch stream watching it, and it was engaging. I watched the whole thing start to finish on my TV in the RV, and I was just I know all the background behind it, and I know how much you guys put into it, and I was just they're doing it.
It was the coolest thing to have it streamed on Twitch and see that feedback, because you're right, there was 60 people throughout the hour and a half, in and out, coming in and out, always 60 people in on the Twitch stream, total of 500 people tuned into it. It was so cool to do that successfully, because we had it on Instagram TV or Instagram Live, and people were shitting on it, and the audio stunk, and we knew that. But we just kept on throwing it out there, and then we did the legwork and brought the cords necessary to make it happen to live stream at First Draft, and now we're the stream team.
I want to say we didn't have enough cords. God, First Draft must have hated us. We were just plugging into every outlet that they had ever. It was great.
Yeah, that's bananas. I'm stoked for you guys. Sorry, Andrew, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just I was in awe that it was working, because not, again, I led the story in, not having you there, and me being the person on site to make sure that we have all the tech lined up. Basically what I did was the test run with Ben, I packed every single cord that we used into the big ass briefcase that we had, and I was like, all right, I got everything. He'll know where it belongs. And then Marcus and Ben and I showed up 2.5 hours early to First Draft to test everything for the live show. And we ran through what we thought was every step, but we knew, and we let everyone that showed up throughout that 2.5 hours that we're going to run into tech issues, but bear with me. We're going to work through it and it's going to be a successful night, but there's going to be something that happens that it's not going to work. And lo and behold, the broadcasting the audio out throughout the bar didn't work as planned because of reverb and not loud enough volume in certain areas. It ended up not being ended up not being terrible because people finagled. They were streamed on their phones. But we can't plan for everything. We told each other, like, this shit is something's going to hit the fan and it's going to be a quick adjustment. It's just how it goes in the live streaming world.
Totally does, man. And it's just, like I said, I'm just so stoked that you guys pulled it off because it's so funny because like we're literally trying to, we put it out there. We're like, it starts at 7 and here's the link and like people can click on it. And the first thing they see is like whatever you guys finagled around with chords to put out there. And like, that's amazing. Like, I'm just so stoked that it looked like a TV show. Like I know this is a podcast and the Date Night podcast, this Kings and Queens speed dating series will eventually be released as a podcast. But like, I think one thing that we're doing more than anybody else, or just what people are starting to catch on to in the industry of podcasting, is like a podcast can be basically anything. And we're taking like a TV show, Bachelor type show, and turning it into a podcast and calling it a podcast. And it's just really cool. Like it's very impressive what you guys have done. I guess it just like the back end work that goes into this kind of stuff. We're no strangers to it. It takes some time, and Andrew and I and Ben, we were talking, like, there's just no, like it's awesome to pull off what we did, but we're also like, this is step one, like we have so much more to do. And I love how you guys were prepping everybody.
Yes. Prepping everyone. It was baby steps. And to backtrack, like Ben Sarby's here tonight, Ben Sarbecker, right?
Yeah.
And
Meme guy Ben.
Meme guy Ben. And we are making the Date Night podcast happen because we have a team of people like yourself that continue to show up and want to put in the work. Ben, you reached out to us in October, September area when you moved to Minneapolis after school. And you were like, hey, boys, I love what you're doing. I haven't met a ton of people here. Would love to help you guys out in any way, shape, or form. And like, what perfect timing that was to lose Declan on site and to have you step in for something like this. And we have Marcus doing other things, but like your role has grown exponentially because you said yes to us. And now we're taking this ship to Mars. And I'm so fucking pumped.
I love that. I remember when I was like, oh, we're going to take it to the moon. You're like, nah, fuck it. We're going to Mars. And I was like, I love that. That's just like, I need that energy. And that's what I was looking for when I moved to Minneapolis. I was like, all right, who are the guys that are doing cool shit? And I saw your guys' Instagram. I saw your guys' I think when I reached out to you, it was like right before you guys did Bochella. Or no, it was right after. And I saw the photos and stuff. And I was like, okay, these guys they're doing professional stuff, but they know how to have a good time. And I was like, these are the guys that I want to associate myself with. So I still remember, I think when I sent a DM in the first place, the Back Pocket Instagram, you guys didn't respond. And then I sent a follow-up because that's how bad I wanted to like reach out to you guys. I was like, oh, these guys are dope. Like, yeah, I appreciate you guys, having me around. I've met a ton of people. Go to the Date Night podcast. You will meet new people. You'll find either guys and girls. People just bring crowds, man. I swear every girl that rolled up brought like 4 other girls with them.
And that's an important note. The best nights that we have for the Date Night podcast are when we have a king and 3 girl contestants, because each girl typically brings minimum 2 people. And sometimes they bring 8. Those nights, those live events are always way more energetic. And to follow up with that, the girls are just naturally looser. They're less stressed about the lights and like being a camera in front of them, camera shy. They're just natural behind the mics. So the content is on point, and then they bring a squad, and it is the coolest thing to just have that atmosphere going on while you're like bringing up each contestant every 15 minutes and like going up to the table. It's like, all right, Lauren, it's your time to shine. Like, cameras are live, mics are hot. You're going to walk up there. T-Flow's going to give you a quick introduction, and then you're going to break the ice. And that's what I say to them. And then I walk them up there and they sit down and it just rolls. And it's so fucking awesome. I every single time I get butterflies. I get nervous for every person that comes on the show, because it's a little bit vulnerable because
Yeah.
you're going on an actual date. But at the same time, this is my baby. So it's like, I want the stars to shine.
Yeah. No, totally. I think it's totally fair to say, we have to say this right off the bat, that women run the date night podcast, and it's no question about it. Like, obviously you got a couple dudes here, a couple hunks talking about it and producing it, but like the females make the show and the females run the show. Like, they come up with their squad. They come out to the show. They got their hype women with them, either in person or in the chats. That was another funny part about Twitch, is like, you could tell all the girls who were like on the show, all their friends were in the chats, like going off. It was awesome. And then, but yeah, they run the show, man. I think you're totally right, Andrew. Like, they are a lot looser, and I think it has to do with like their backing with the show, and with when they're going on, because the girls recognize it as like, it's a very vulnerable thing to do something like this.
Exactly. And having people there with them, just makes them more comfortable. And
Now the guys, though.
the guys, we gotta work on.
This needs to be addressed now, and I just want to raise my hand and say I'm sorry. It's been with doing this every single week, I feel like I'm always behind with booking, and especially this week where we're live streaming on Twitch for the first time. And by the way, when we're releasing this podcast, this was 2 weeks ago. But anyways, we're getting ready for this live stream thing. And Andy and Ben, when did you guys hop into the studio to like do the prep run?
The night before.
Okay. Yeah. So the night before Tuesday, and we had already been dialed in. I had the king lined up. I felt really good about him. And I had 3 females, had booked them kind of throughout the weekend and prior. And then Wednesday morning, game day, as we always shoot in our team group text, Andy always fires off the game day text at about 6 a.m. It's always awesome. Makes it feel like it's game day, because it is.
Suiting up.
And yeah, suiting up. Put your cleats on. It's time to go play. And I also, in 30 minutes before I got that game day text, I got a DM from the king saying he just got back from Florida, feeling really bad, thinks it's COVID, can't make it. And I was like, oh my God, I hate going through this, because this has happened, 2 or 3 times already before. Maybe not the day of, but still.
The hardest one is when your headliner cancels. Because then one, you feel bad because the contestant signed up specifically for that headliner, and 2, you have to find someone to lead the show again. If it's like a contestant that drops out, it's a whole different story. They're only going to be on for 15 minutes. And so you can kind of just grab just about anyone that says yes and willing. But when you lose your headliner, oof, it's a dagger. And at one point, I think I messaged you, Deck. I was like, maybe Ben and I just show up and we do a test run and we figure out what it looks like technology-wise. We bag this week and use it as a time to figure out the tech. And Deck goes, give me 2 more hours. I'll find someone, and then we're gonna make this happen. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's stay in the pocket and let's make this happen. And lo and behold, we turned and burned a great night.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
I think it's all you guys. But again, these guys have traditionally stunk on the show. Like, I don't care if the guys are listening right now. Like, you guys haven't been good, and it shows. I think Patrick, the only guy who was last or 2 weeks ago guest, Patrick Hardy, he was great. I think he had the personality for it. He was upbeat, kept conversation, was like genuinely wanting to be there for all 3 females. But like, other than that, and maybe there's a couple more I'm forgetting, but like
Max, when he did the gay king,
Yes.
he did an awesome
Max
job.
Max was great too. Okay, so sorry, not all guys stink, but like I'm telling you, like, more times than not, especially from my end, where like I'm just out here in Arizona trying to get a vibe on like the right kind of person for this event. It's great to have people like submit and say, this person will rock ass on this show, and like personally say that. And then other times I'm just like, he looks really good and has some interesting background, might be an extrovert, go for it. And anyways, the guy I booked was just so willing and able, and had been DMing me about it the whole week. So I kind of had him in my back pocket per se, and was able to make it happen. But Either way, regardless, man, Ben, I just want to put it back on you, just like rewinding to when you hit us up. So when you hit us up, I remember seeing it and I was like, okay, who's this like TikTok meme guy? He seems like he's got a big following, kind of confused on like the whole thing. And I had actually a response typed out to you, but I forgot to send it. And then when you followed up, I was like, oh, this guy's like very adamant about helping us. So there's like kind of a no-brainer to why would you ever turn something like that down? All seemed to come from a great place too.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just reached out to you guys because.
Can you bring your mic?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
More to the center, and then twist it just a little bit. Like
Nice.
This way.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. There
That
you go.
better?
Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
now you're speaking in the bass.
All right, sick.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
your
not used to
audio's-
these. Oh, go ahead.
No, it sounds a lot better now. Great work over there, meme guy Ben.
I can do hard things. Yeah, I mean, like what do you want? You want me to give like a rundown of like who I am, my life story?
Well, yeah, because welcome to the back pocket. This is the Ben Sarbecker show,
Oh yeah.
where we tune. I mean, I know we just chatted about the date night podcast because we like to talk about ourselves. I mean, sometimes I don't get to check in with Deck after how things happen. So this was literally like a check-in for the first 20 minutes.
This is
So
quite
sorry,
literally our
listeners.
debrief.
This was a debrief, and you're a part of the team. So
Yeah.
it was a team debrief. But now we're pivoting to the Ben Sarbecker show.
Oh yeah. All right.
And I think we start when you reached out to us, and feel free to like give context to that. So like why you came to Minneapolis and like progression there.
Oh, for sure. So okay. So I guess I do have to go a little bit back. So kind of just a rundown. I was pretty much just raised in Arizona, like since I was 6. Grew up there, got decent grades, got a good scholarship to Iowa State. Went to Iowa State for 4 years where I just kind of like, I guess, found myself is the best way I can put it. Like when I was in high school, I had this YouTube channel that I was addicted to Call of Duty. Did any of you guys do trick shotting by chance? Call of
A
Duty
little
trick
bit,
shotting? Yeah. Do you know what
I
I'm
what you're
talking about?
Like 360 no scope off of window sills. Yeah, I know
Yep.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I was really fucking good at it. Remind me to like show you guys a video one of these days. I was really good. I had a YouTube channel, and that's kind of where my like social media obsession started because I was like, I had like 100 subs on YouTube, and I was like, all right, YouTube's algorithm is just not being nice to me. They're not putting my video in front of new people. I was like, how do I get my video in front of new people? And I was like, okay, I go on Instagram and I just follow a ton of people and I DM every single one of them, literally in between sets of the gym, watching Netflix, DM on DM on DM. Just, hey, I'm a YouTuber. I'm really small. I'd love for you to like make fun of my video, basically. People would come, and I literally went from like 100 subscribers to like 1,000 within 3 months just from grinding that. So that's kind of like where it all started. And I did a couple things in college, like running a clothing company, whatever. Stopped doing YouTube for a little bit, and I ended up majoring in marketing. And during my time in college, I ran a marketing agency with some guys out here. So I moved here mainly to do that marketing agency with them. But as we kind of got deeper into it, I realized that's not really what I want to do with my life. It took me a while to realize, but I was pretty miserable. I hated doing it. It was pretty rough. I hated
What kind of marketing was it?
So we're doing media buying. We were running
Okay.
Facebook ads for clients, and just, I mean, they're doing great. They're doing phenomenal. Just at the time where we were at, it was a lot of like clients weren't satisfied. I felt like we were, just like rolling through a bunch of clients that none of them were really like retaining with us for a super long time. And that was just like very taxing on my mental health in terms of like me being like, oh, like maybe this isn't it. Like maybe I, suck at this. Like maybe I shouldn't do it. And that really bled into the work that I was doing for the company too. So eventually I just like kind of decided, or not me and my business partners kind of decided like I was doing my meme account thing, kind of was leaning more towards doing the social media thing. And they were kind of like, hey, maybe it's your time to part ways. And that's probably one of the best decisions I've ever done because kind of in this time of running this agency, I had started making TikToks, and this is like right around when Reels came out. So that's when I really started growing my following, was because I've gotten a couple TikTok accounts taken down, but even so, like followers on TikTok don't really mean anything because it's all about how well you're hitting the For You page. Like your followers are very rarely actually seeing what you're posting. Instagram's very different. Your following on Instagram is a lot more valuable. Like I would say, I would equate like a 60K account on TikTok to like a 10K account on Instagram, I would say, in terms of the level of followers you're actually hitting. Does that make sense?
Yes, because on Instagram you're hitting, like if a really good post that does well, you're hitting the majority of your followers.
Yep.
And on TikTok, a really post that does well, you're hitting the For You page
Yes.
and maybe some of your followers that extend to the For You page.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at the time I started last year in February. I had one account with 3K followers, and now I have 4 accounts that total like over 230,000 followers. Just my meme accounts, is not including my personals. And kind of just from doing that, I was starting to realize like the difference between TikTok and Instagram in terms of the success. So a lot of like success on Instagram is just being consistent, posting shareable content, and I just use that information to like build my personal Instagram. So yeah, that's pretty much where I was at when I reached out to you guys. I was already like growing all those avenues, and now where I'm at is I was doing some freelance social media for some people, and then kind of decided that wasn't the route I wanted to do, because once again, I just hated working with clients. Like I don't know what it was. I just didn't like actually having directly to communicate with them. I like when there's like a filter. So right now I'm working for an agency out in Buffalo, or well, they're located in Buffalo and Los Angeles, and I'm just doing social media stuff for them. So they just go, hey, we have these accounts, do what you would normally do for this account. We'll show it to the client. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't, kind of thing. And so kind of a happy medium. I love doing that. And now I'm just working on my personal brand. So growing my Instagram, growing my podcast, and hopefully going to make a comeback to YouTube. I just haven't done it yet.
Dude, that's amazing. I love the hustle, honestly. Like you definitely
Sorry, that's
like
the camera.
leapt and bound through your story in terms of just like you were prancing through it, seemed like. But like for you to originally go like with that YouTube idea where you like DM'd all these different people and had creative ways of like reaching out, that alone is just not an easy feat to do. And then growing your Instagram accounts like the way you do, that takes a ton of work. Like when you came to us, when you were running like client work, you were like, here, let me just show you guys what my client, like I would show to a client on how to grow their Instagram. And a lot of it was like the hustle that you put into that specific growth tactic is one, something we've never seen before. And two, just something that takes a ton of time. Like you're like, hey, post every day for 30 days, like that's kind of baseline. Got to have all that content there. Here's how you get the content, like grab the, if you wanted to start a date night meme page, you go basically start a date night TikTok page, going specifically like relationship memes or dating memes or whatever, save those, repost them as reels, and then continue to do that over and over again. And then you can have that growth account connected to your personal brand and then draw traffic in a funnel. And I just think that's like, it's such a unique thing, but dude, you're a hustler, man. Like I want to know how you got this media agency job. Cause like that couldn't have just come out of thin air, did it?
No, so that's actually so he started off as a freelance client, and that was mainly because, oh God, what happened? We met him through my agency and just kind of followed him on Instagram. And we were going to try to do some like white labeling, but we didn't end up doing anything. But he always followed me, and he always saw what I was doing with my Instagram pages and was like, yo, this is amazing. Like, I see what you're doing. And so eventually I came on to help build like an account for him. And then eventually when I kind of hit a point where I was like, all right, I could do this contractor thing, but when I'm doing the contractor thing, then it's like on me to bring in clients all the time. And like, I'm pretty good at the outreach and sales process. I just don't enjoy it. Like, that's not really my forte. And at the time, like, that's when my podcast started going pretty well and all my videos are going pretty viral right now. I was like, all right, that's what I love. That's what I love to do. That's what I love to focus on. So I got to a point where I was talking to him. He wanted me to do some more stuff for him, do some contractor hours. And I was just like, you know what? Why don't I just work for you? Because he had offered me a full-time position back in November, I think. And so he was just like, yeah, we can definitely get that going. So that's what I'm doing. Shout out Interlace Digital. They're phenomenal dudes, phenomenal guys.
I have a very specific question now. Now knowing that, is what do you enjoy more, the growth of the pages and the virality of the posts, or the actual content itself?
Dude, okay, between those, that's a hard one. I get like a sick amount of pleasure from both of those. Like, that's a weird way to say it.
It's a good.
I try my best not to get too attached to the growth. because the growth comes in waves. Like last week, my account, or probably in the last 3 weeks, one of my accounts was growing like 1 to 4K every single day. And then I got a community guideline violation on it, which if you know anything about Instagram, that's pretty much like Instagram jail. And so now it's not hitting the algorithm. I literally went from getting like 2.9 million impressions per day to 100,000, which 100,000 is still pretty good. But for an account like that, it means I'm probably going to lose followers for a while. So I try not to wrap myself around oh, I'm growing. This is great. Like dopamine hits. But it's hard because it's kind of natural, right? Like every time I look at the page, I want to see it go up another K. So like, as much as I'd like to say, oh, I don't care about the growth. The growth doesn't affect me. It really does. It does dictate my day sometimes more than I'd actually like it to. But it's something I've definitely gotten a lot better at. Just in terms of being able to have a little voice in my head that checks it. But I do get a ton of pleasure from the content creation side. It sounds like I'm my like number one fan. I make videos and I'll sit there and I'll watch it and just laugh at it. Like I'm like, oh, I'm so funny at like not really, but sometimes I'll post it and it'll just flop. And I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed making this. And I do think it has to be like you have to kind of enjoy your own content if you're making it, or else like what's the point? I always think about have you guys listened to Childish Gambino's stand-up comedy show?
Probably.
It's on Netflix. I can't
Okay.
remember what it's called, but there was this bit where he was like, he was listening to his own music in the car. This girl got in the car and she was like, "You listen to your own music?" And he was like, "Yeah, man." And he kind of made a joke out of it, like, "Oh, like if a Subway worker makes their own sandwich, like, are you sitting there like, oh man, that's so conceited of you?" And I just like have always looked back at that and I'm like, that's kind of how I look at it at a content creation side. Like if somebody watched me watching my own video being like, haha, this is funny, they'd be like, what a fucking weirdo. But there's always something in your life, I feel like, that you're just so proud of that you want to look at over and over again, whether it's a picture that you took on your camera or Decky, I honestly don't know of an example for you.
A good example for me that I just like finished that I keep showing everybody is my ski video that I just made.
Oh,
and in real time, I haven't dropped it yet, but I'm going to release it tomorrow. But like, I spent so much time on that, and I just like have these spurts of like creativity where I can put together 2 to 5 minute videos at a crazy fun pace. And I've been doing it for a while, and I just like do it. Like it goes to the same exact thing. Second I'm done with it, I can't stop watching it, and I can't stop sending it to people because I just think it's the best thing in the world.
I would argue that piece of content is more for you than for anybody that's going to see that content, because it's like you not only are watching it, but you put love in that video. You put time in that video. Like you took cuts out of it and made decisions that made that video what it is today, and you should be able to appreciate it. Like, why is it weird for you to watch your own video? Like sometimes I'll go to my vlogs on YouTube that I like thoroughly enjoyed making, and I'll just watch it because it's like it's really fun to watch back like the jokes that I was making with my friends, or like the way that I cut something, or the way that I just something that I actually enjoyed in making that piece of art. It's honestly like no different from an artist just enjoying their own painting.
Yeah, 100%. You find yourself like you're a natural creator from the early ages. Like you found yourself creating in some sort of way. And if so, like what do you think you were creating as a kid? Like what was your imagination like? What were you doing to like continue to push that creative outlet?
I don't know. I mean, I always got like really hyper fixated on something just stupid and random, and then I moved into something else, which also is really me. If you guys know, like I'm like, oh, I love this. I'm gonna dabble with it, and I wasn't very consistent. Just in like I would get super obsessed with BMX, and then I'd go. So like the creation would be like, in Arizona there are these like areas called washes, and it's literally just desert where like runoff water would go. But like me and my friends would go in there and illegally make like BMX jumps and stuff like that. So I guess you could say that. And then I jump over to like skateboarding, and I played hockey my entire life. And I kind of went through random spurts where I got super obsessed with like, I don't know, doing that. And even that's like a form of creation too.
100%. Yes.
You have to create drills, shooting drills, things like that. I would say I was always creating, but it really didn't start until like at video editing and creation, content creation, I guess you could say, until I think like around my junior year of high school.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I just remember, like, as a kid, I would be creating something like for sports for sure. But like, a great example would be playing cards. So like football cards, baseball cards, basketball cards. I would lay them on the ground and I would create rosters for each team. And then I'd
Oh.
actually play with them as a game. And like if a card like got like creased in the carpet, then he'd have like a sprained wrist and he'd have to sit out. And like there was a whole damn creation. And I just remember like that on repeat has spiraled into so many different things where I get so much fulfillment from creating my own thing and then just diving into it, becoming micro obsessed with it.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter how many people see it or how many people enjoy it. It's like what Declan was talking about with his own video. It's all internal fulfillment. And if someone does see it and does appreciate it, then it just makes the world, because it was for me in general. But then if someone notices it, it's like, oh, that was really cool. And I think we can all agree in that atmosphere of like being in this content creation. If you're creating for other people, it's a constant like bottomless fulfillment. Creating for others is just waiting for you to like get a reward that you probably should not have. It's an interesting game to like constantly be creating and trying to push yourself to be better each day, because you're your biggest critic.
Yes. Oh my
And
god.
you probably see that time and time again because you're pushing out so much content, and you're probably just internally looking like, damn, like am I hitting a lull? Am I hitting a creative lull right now?
I hit those all the time. Creative, like just, and especially on TikTok, like honestly, a lot of people are always like, wow, it's so amazing that you like pump out all these videos, but they're all pretty much the same thing. Same thing, different. Like all the trends on TikTok are pretty much the same. If you really look at them, there's these like pretty much a majority of them are just song is going, beat drops, and something's supposed to happen, right? So like, oh, I was, like making fun of my sibling, beat drops, mom is there protecting younger sibling, something like that. Like you'll see that same joke over and over and over again, just with a different audio. But people will, it's almost like a timing thing. Like people will forget about it, and then they're reminded of it, and now it's with a new sound, and now somebody different made it. And so really honestly what you have to do is just kind of gather an arsenal of like, okay, like, someone's making a joke about this, it went viral. Then next time you see a sound that fits that, it's almost like a formula. You just plug it into the formula, and the song's different, but the formula is the same. You literally just plug it in there and let it out into the ether, and some of them will go viral. Like that's literally, and a lot of it too has to do with, obviously you can't be a bad content creator. Like you have to have hyper realistic faces and you have to get like all into it. But I mean, even sometimes you don't have to. Like there's this one girl going viral right now on TikTok who barely moves her mouth, and for some reason people just really enjoy her videos. But it is what it is. Everything on TikTok is pretty much the same.
I think that's a really cool point though that you bring up, because as you're explaining this like joke with the beat drop, it's like build tension, build tension, build tension, something crazy twist that causes you to laugh, or something that just wants you to keep going back to it. And that's like just an impetus of what a joke is. Like
Yeah.
think about like in stand-up comedy, like you're doing a lot of your time building tension, being creative with how you're building tension, and then you throw a twist in, and then that's supposedly your punchline. So like that type of stuff has been in our culture forever, and TikTok is able to replicate that and have an algorithm that like can reach millions and millions of people, but through the reciprocation of this idea. And not only that, they loop in like or music, like songs, and then the songs go viral because the songs are good and they're part of the drop. So it's like these guys made such a freaking smart app that was able to draw in and draw off of a bunch of different people. It's just it blows my mind. But I think going back to the creative lull thing, like especially for me personally, just like my life's so I'm moving so fast, and I'm in different situations all the time. So like my consistent creation that I used to have, maybe at the house you guys are in right now, is not what it used to be. I have to find different ways to make content. The content's just strictly different. There's always those things, but I think it goes back to what you're saying, Ben. It's just like, you just got to love it, man. You just got to love
Yeah.
it, and got to want to produce it day in and day out. So I really just appreciate like that aspect of what you're doing. And like, I think that's why we vibe so much. And that's why it's so fun to be on like a team together, building like the Date Night podcast and everything like that. Cause it's just like, we know, like we talked about at the beginning, there's a million issues that we're going to run into. But like once we create a good stream or whatever, it's like there's always another thing to like sit back and reflect on. So I love that. And I also wanted to say, Andrew, the fact that you asked a question about what did you imagine as a kid is a bananas good question.
Yeah, because I was making me think of like as a kid, why am I doing what I'm doing now, and going back to childhood of like that's what I fell in love with, and to go to like the actual creative law. I was listening to Jerry Seinfeld on Tim Ferriss's podcast, and he was talking about concentration fatigue. And there was a stand-up comedian that was in Jerry's circle who said, who's a younger guy, and who's like, and I think Jerry asked him, how long do you like? How much time do you spend in a day writing jokes? And he said, I think 8-10 hours a day. I'm writing jokes. And Jerry was like, Seinfeld's like, what the hell? That sounds like you're not getting anything done. Spend probably an hour to 2 hours writing jokes, and then go experience, go
Yes.
like live. And that is where like the buildup is actually going to happen. You're going to create tension in a situation and experience something for a beat drop, for a punchline. And to avoid the concentration fatigue, to avoid the creative lulls, it's not spending more time on that project. It's not Declan breaking out time to create more. No, it's more he needs to put himself in situations. We need to put ourselves in situations where we're experiencing something that puts us on another level. It's like, oh shit, I gotta go back home and I gotta go create. It's not blocking out time. I feel like is never a winning formula for creative people. It's more so you have to like be in situations. You have to actively put yourself in situations like the Date Night podcast, where you fall flat on your face and everyone's looking at you, and there's hella reverb going on and a massive echo, and everyone stops talking, and you could hear a pin drop at one point because we cut all the audio, and T-Flow flips her headphones off and looks at me and says, well, I can't fucking do this. And I look at Ben, I look at Marcus, and I go, all right, we got to pivot.
meanwhile, she's texting me, this king sucks. I'm calling you after this. Middle of the show. I'm watching the show, and like the girl walks off for the next girl to come up, and I got T-Flow on my grill.
Oh yeah, T-Flow is pretty. Shout out T-Flow, love her, and she'll let you know what she's thinking, and I love that about her. Like we need that. Like we need to know. I mean, most of us couldn't hear what's going on because we were like doing all of our things, and Jonah had his headphones on, switchboarding, but I had no clue.
I put the kid to work. I had to put Jonah to work.
That kid is good at switchboarding, dude. It looked like it's a cyborg move for the kid. I mean, he's got so much ADD. He's got to be able to do it.
Yeah, man, it's just so hard to switchboard these days. Oh,
but like that's like the whole impetus of that story is how we are like able to push forward and look at ourselves like we're heading to Mars is because we got a team. Like we're not doing this alone. We're not, and whenever there's that real fatigue, we're able to look at each other and be like, all right, how can we help each other? And you found yourself early on coming to Minneapolis and being like, all right, I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm on my own, where I can't find that outlet of other people being motivated to be in this world. And you reached out to us, and early success right now. It's been an awesome partnership, and I only see it growing from here. But like you mentioned, you're going to meet someone else.
Andrew.
It's friendship, baby. It's fucking friendship. And and you're going to see someone else, and they're going to be able to kickstart someone else at the Date Night Podcast. You're going to meet someone like, oh, you want to go to X, Y, and Z and shoot something and create this? That shit's going to happen, and it's already happening for us. That's why we say we're dominating the sandbox, because we love just interacting with people and then saying to ourselves, oh, I want to go do something cool with that guy. And it's usually like his biggest passion. I see myself like doing it with him. So like they're talking about themselves. I'm like, oh, I would love to do that with you. Let's go do that. And then we record a podcast about it. It's awesome to like just to be in this industry. We're going to circle this wagon of creating content like we have with the Jackson Halls, like the Piff Petersons of the world, like people in this space that are constantly creating. It feels sometimes like you're talking about the same things, but it's so refreshing because everyone runs into the same issues, and everyone has so much more, and everyone has a ton of fun doing it.
Yeah. No, I love what you said too about like just I always think about the Steve Jobs quote that's like you can connect the dots you can't what is it? You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And that's how I mean literally the fact that I'm as obsessed and I guess successful quote unquote with social media as I am is because this little kid who just wanted to grow his podcast or excuse me his YouTube channel in high school like just was like, yo, I'm gonna use Instagram in a way that nobody else is using it. Like, and that little dot started out to where I am today, where I'm like, all right, now that I know more about the algorithm, I'm gonna then use that to do it on a much larger scale. And that is the same thing with reaching out to you, the DMP. I've met so many people. Like me and Patrick are great homies now. The guy, because like, and it turned out that he was working with the co-host of my podcast, and it was just like, I've met so many people, and you're right. Like it can turn into, maybe. I did. Okay, actually, this is like a funny part of this is what I was talking to you guys about before while we were setting up.
That we were saving for on air.
Yeah.
All right,
So, for the dudes, there's so many girls there. You might as well talk to some of them. Patrick comes up to me. I'd introduced myself to him and said hi to the girl he was hanging out with. And Patrick was like, hey, you should ask her for her phone number, which is great. Like, that's what I'm looking for is like an avenue to meet new people, maybe meet a girl or two, whatever. So I'm like, perfect. I'm going to go ask this girl for her phone number. I go and I ask this girl for her phone number. She gives it to me. I'm like sitting there shooting the shit with her, whatever. Text her last night, text her this morning. We're having a great conversation. And I slip in. I was like, so when do you want to go grab coffee? Because I had mentioned to her, like when I got her phone number, hey, let's go grab coffee or something. And then she finally, like literally probably right before I came over here, was like, oh yeah, I should probably tell you, I'm in a relationship.
Uh-oh.
I was like, what? I was like, wait, why were you even talking? Like, what was going? I text Patrick, I screenshot our messages, and I'm like, explain yourself. I was like, what is going? And I think he said something like, oh my God, I can't believe she's still dating that idiot, whatever. But it was like one of those like, oh man, like, just very poor circumstance, I guess. But that is kind of what I'm looking for is being able to, and who knows, maybe she'll introduce me to her friends or whatever, because we're still friends, I guess. But
The
Dude.
DNP, man. What is going on with this circle?
dude,
I
honestly,
don't
I think it's Patrick.
He's the fixed variable in all of these stories.
Yes.
That's true. He's been the control, and it only makes sense for us to assume this. So I totally understand. Dude, that's hilarious. First off, wrong of her, and I don't know her name.
That's
But
what I
that
was
is
saying. I'm not gonna
illegal.
say her name.
That's
mean.
not okay. And then the second thing that's not okay is you asking her to coffee. You can't be doing
What?
that. Then. No,
Is that not a
that's
thing
rule.
anymore?
So the sponsor of the Day Night podcast is the First Date Expert. It's a book that was written by Katie Sir, who claims that to be this first date expert. That's kind of like her business. Anyway, she wrote this book on it, and in the book it says, like the one thing you should not do on a first date is take someone out to coffee. And the reason is because it's so interviewy and it's just like so overdone, and it's so easy to just kind of slide across the table as an initial date. That's just like her impetus is like, hey guys, don't do it. So terrible move on your end to even try and take coffee. And also even worse terrible move on her end for being in a relationship and then also one that get with you kind of. I don't know if we need to go that far, but
No, I mean, she told me eventually. It was just like, why didn't you tell me that when I asked for your phone number? But it sounds
Right.
like it's complicated. So I'm not gonna. I was just like, all right, deuces. Dang, I didn't know that about the coffee. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like, coffee is just very. It's also a good way. I'm very big about like, cause I have 3 sisters. I'm very big about not making girls like putting them in a bad situation or making them uncomfortable. So unless
You have 3 sisters?
I have 3 sisters.
Where do you fall in line?
I am the second oldest.
Second
So,
oldest.
and we're all 2 years apart. So it's my oldest, Emily, and then it's me, and then it's Claire. And she went to Iowa State with me. And then it's my youngest, Megan. She's at ASU right now.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Declan also has 3 sisters and a brother.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we
big
talked
family.
about this.
we talked. Yeah, absolutely. No,
But
that's
I
funny.
feel that like you don't want to put the girl in a situation.
And
but
it's
you're supposed to be active. You're supposed to be doing something, a shared experience.
exactly. And for me too, it's like, okay, well, so it's also too like I feel like on first dates it should be like, obviously I'm gonna pay for her, but it should be kind of like low. Like this is especially in a position where like
obviously.
You gotta be.
Oh,
You're canceled, dude. You're no
No.
longer allowed to go on
Canceled.
fucking dates. You're done. You're
Wow.
done until further notice. Also, can you switch the camera to Ben so I can see him say this dumb shit on Zoom?
Sorry.
God, dude.
Thank
So here's the thing, Ben. All I'm saying is, like Andrew had mentioned, the keywords I should say, shared experience. Just like go do something that you would genuinely have fun doing. Now I know coffee might be one of those things, but like just find a better situation to just like get to know her. It doesn't
Yes.
need to be like grandiose. You don't need to go bowling on Mars. Like you can just go get dinner at a cool place. And then the key, which I was going to add as like another tip that Katie recommends, is Innerbook, the first date expert. And it's
The plugs.
it's this idea of when you do sit down with this woman, instead of facing across from her, you face
next to him?
you go on, you sit next to her, because that's like I don't know how that works, but just imagine like
Interesting.
in your rocket ship, like you're going, it looks like you're both going in a direction, you know, or like maybe
Yeah.
that's the conversation too that you're having. So,
No, I've heard that like it's supposed to be a better conversation if you're side to side. Like it's more like intimate rather than if you're across the table, there's a barrier. And like don't get me wrong, I love those types of first dates. In my experience, it's always been a little bit of a shit show if I do it with somebody that I'm not already like that I haven't talked to for like, so like if I'm gonna like take this girl on a first date from like, I don't know, maybe people are going to disagree with this, but if you're going to go on a first date with somebody who you just met like 2 or 3 nights before, you haven't really gotten to know them, I feel like coffee is kind of like a like easy off one go. I'm like a romantic. So like I had this date with this girl that I like talked to, like sent paragraphs to. We went to I always say it wrong, but Makaska, what used to be Calhoun.
Yes.
We went on a picnic, ate, you know,
Cool.
got each other our favorite foods, and then we went to 2 breweries afterwards. And like, I love doing that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's also like, do you full send a date like that after you've only been talking to them for like 3 days?
totally not. So
I
yeah,
do-
you just gotta vibe it out.
I do get what you're saying though. You can ask like for something fancier than just coffee, but I don't know. I think coffee is great, and it's a great way too to like kind of get to know them a little bit more. I don't know. I judge people based off what they drink from coffee wise. I don't. You can tell a lot by somebody by what they order at Starbucks or at any other coffee shop. I feel like
What's like a red flag coffee drink for you, or a deal breaker?
I don't think it's like any of them are red flag necessarily, but like I love girls that drink black coffee. Like every relationship I think that
Nice.
I've been in, it like that has been somewhat successful, the girls always drink black coffee. And I don't know if that's like actually like a thing, but and I'm a black coffee drinker too. But it's just like, I don't know, I think it's really funny when girls get like iced chai teas and like, because that's not like really coffee. That's like sugar with a dabble of coffee.
I mean, that's fair. That's very fair. And, you know, I'm a cold brew guy through and through. Busy cold brew.
Do you make your own?
No, I buy from Busy.
Oh, I buy or sorry, Andrew, I do the grounds now, and it's way better. Like
Alright.
I make the cold brew and I soak it in this little cold brew thing, and then that gets me basically 3 cups of coffee, so like 1 each morning for 3 days, and then I just pour the beans back in, fill it up with water. 24 hours later, it's ready. So like it's a little longer process than like pouring it out of the ready to go, or also just like making hot coffee. But it's definitely like kind of fun to flex that you say you make your own cold brew. You know, kind of feels like you're surviving.
No, that's definitely a route I should be taking, because I did the math and I think I'm spending like $250 on Busy cold brew.
Wow.
A month?
Yeah.
Oh
month
my god.
with the ready to drink.
It's not always, with the ready to drink. It's not always me buying it, but it's between Matt Heron, Jonah, and I.
3 people. So
3
I mean, still doing the math there. That's over $70.
Right.
That's
$80.
wild.
We inhale it
$80.
because I think you get like 4 glasses per bottle, and we drink it in a day and a half. And then when it's empty and I go to it and it's not there, and then I go to Starbucks and I get myself a cold brew. So it's like it's a constant game of me losing. So I got to get the
Yeah.
give me the
You
beans.
You definitely do
No,
need to be doing
Andrew,
that.
I think this is where we got to get someone at the corp involved because, you know, maybe they have other dedicated people within Busy Nation that need that inhale cold brew at this high rate. Like, is there like is there somewhere where you could get like a tote of fucking Busy so that you're like good to go for the month? Like, I don't know how much, I don't know, like it probably makes no sense to make anything bigger than like the 32 ounce ready to go drink bottle. But like if they had like a massive pitcher or like just a normal pitcher for 3 guys and then had a shit ton of grounds that you just always were sent and that was just more efficient, because I gotta imagine it is. I bought like a 1 pound bag lasts me for just myself like almost 2 weeks. So
we're
I got
getting drinks right now.
Oh, no worries. So that's what I don't know. I think the grounds might be a little more efficient. That's all I'm saying.
The grounds are definitely more efficient, man. I pour and it's not like I drink a ton of coffee. I drink 1 cup, and it's usually like it's like a 12-ounce cup of coffee, a nice venti cold brew, and I love it. But it's so expensive to drink coffee. When I purchase it from elsewhere, I have to start making my own stuff. So breaking news, Colfax will be no more come June 1. We are ending the time here in this studio. Come June, Decky's coming back in the middle of May to do a one final podcast, and we're going to relocate. We'll talk about that later. But the next place we're going is an apartment complex, and it's more expensive. Let's just say that. It's more expensive than living with 5 dudes in what people always say is a frat house, but we're a WeWork Airbnb. Like, we're very efficient here, and we're proactive. But I'm going to start spending more money on rent, and I think hand in hand, it's time to cut the Busy cold brew if I can't find the right deal with our insider trading.
Let's also not forget, you just moved into the same apartment complex as the Busy guys. At least as far as we remember, they may have moved out of that place from the last 2 years, but there's a really good chance that you guys actually all live in the same spot. So you may have just totally cut the cost altogether.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, and I'll just walk down the hall and say, Alex, my guy, where's the tote?
Can we help design a tote for other people like us? That's how I would pitch it.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, can we just be your beta test for everything? All your new customers? Because we're your most dedicated. We love Busy. It's funny too, now being out here and like sometimes there isn't Busy in the stores and it's just other cold brew. So you just, you're going to try, just to see what it's like. And I went from like the ready to drink Busy coffee to like the ready to drink, Starbucks, Dunkin', and then there's like a billion others that are in the fridge. It just depends on where you go. And I gotta be honest, like none of them taste like Busy, and none of them are really that good. And a lot of them have like random sugar in it they don't tell you about. It stinks. So then I just went right back to the brew, like the actual grains. So
is your grains the grains from Busy?
Yeah, I just ordered it on Amazon and it comes in a day. So
okay.
And then I have the little bucket thing that they bought, and it's perfect.
Yeah. What you're quickly learning, Ben, is we're problem solving guys.
Oh, dude, I'm a problem solver too.
Right. It's just that's the fun in everything. It's making up a problem really, and then coming up with the solution.
The real money is we just need to grow all the back pocket podcasts and then get free cold brew. That sounds like the real answer to all of our problems right now.
And that's where you come in, Ben. I think that's really what it comes. You just had that moment for sure.
Yeah, you think I can get a couple of I'll give Busy a couple shout outs on Dyslexic Daddy, and maybe he'll send us a couple of cold brews over.
Yeah, wait, can you go through the names of each of your Instagrams? Because this is the funniest thing. I know some of them you purchased and you didn't even change the name. But yeah, you got to go through some of these names because Ben,
yes,
they are wild.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I'm just pulling it up.
He pulls his phone out so he can go through all of them. How many total, roughly?
Well, I'll start. What?
How many
including my
total
podcast
accounts?
account? 7 or 6.
7.
Sorry.
Wow.
How do I count? Yeah, because my podcast account at this point is pretty much a meme account that I post podcast clips to. Okay, so quick plug for my Instagram at Ben Sarbacher. Sarbacher is spelled Sarbacker.
It's Sarbacher.
Sarbacher.
Which one is it?
Sarbacher.
Okay. I will be better.
I mean, dude, literally, some of my friends from high school that I've known forever called me Starbacher, just because it's like for some reason they throw a T in there.
I had you in my phone as Starbucker until 2 days ago.
Dude, I don't know what I think it's Starbucks. I think Starbucks is screwing our family name. They're just like basically people just want to say Starbucks. But Ben Starbucker, that one has 16K. My Sarby Studios podcast has a little over a K at this point. Lola Slat, I did not name that one. That one I actually just got it from somebody who like it had like 18K but was completely dead, and someone was just like, "Here you go," and I was like, "Cool." I'm not gonna change the name because like, why would I? Lola Slat's fine. It's at 48K now. Dyslexic Daddy, I also did not name. There's also, I'm always worried about that one because I'm not dyslexic, but the person who started the account was. So it's almost like the yeah, I know, right? Like it's like I don't know what to do because it's almost like the Daquan situation. Did you guys hear about that?
No, I did not.
No.
So Daquan is one of like the biggest meme pages on Instagram, and there was this whole thing about like the owner. Obviously, Daquan is an African American name. The owner and now owners, which is like Warner Brothers, they weren't African American, and so there was like this whole thing, and like everyone was upset. It pretty much blew over because like nobody really. It's not a celebrity. Like nobody really cared that much. It was just kind of like, oh, let's make a ruckus. But I've always just like
Internally, you had some like conflict. You're like, I'm not dyslexic. However, Dyslexic Daddy continues to grow.
So here's the thing. I'm very open
I'm
on
doing
the
good things for the dyslexia.
Well, I mean, obviously, it would be cool to like actually do. Like, I want eventually to do. Like, I don't make like a ton of money off these accounts. Once I do, I would love to start doing a lot of like fundraising type of things. But that comes with like 130,000 is a lot, but it's not a lot in the Instagram meme page world. It's a lot to like anybody listening to this, but it's. I mean, the goal, like, you start making probably good money with meme pages if you have like 500K. That's like where the money's really at. So I got to build it up there, but I would love to do fundraisers for everything. St. Jude, for like the what was the thing that you guys did?
Best
The
Christmas
Best
ever.
Christmas. Yeah, I would love to help out with that next year. Just all these things. And it's really funny though, because somebody asked, like I did a Q&A one time and somebody was like, "Hey, are you dyslexic?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." Like the person who first had this account, they're dyslexic. And they were like, they were like, "Oh, like I'm not offended. I just really like the name. Like that was the reason I followed was because I'm dyslexic and I thought that your name was hilarious." And so I just kind of threw up on my story. I was like, "Yo, if you followed this account because you're dyslexic and you liked the name, please let me know." Hundreds. I mean hundreds of people who were just like, "Dude, I thought your name was funny. Like, I'm dyslexic. I saw Dyslexic Daddy and I was like, that's a great name." And they just followed me. And so I was like, all right, so people aren't offended, which is great. But I have gotten like once in a blue moon, somebody who's just like, "Yo, that's really insensitive. Like, I have this person." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not, like trying to offend you. It's more of a branding thing, right? Like for me, like if Back Pocket changed its name right now to something other than Back Pocket, people would be mad confused, and it'd almost be like hitting a little mini reset button. And I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that with any of my accounts. That's why I haven't changed like any of the names on them. So yeah, Dyslexic Daddy, I'll own it, I guess. And I don't know if I get canceled, it's like, hey man, I'm not trying to be offensive. Like this just
Hey, if cancer doesn't take you, dyslexia will.
Well, it's funny because my co-host Matt, he's actually dyslexic as well. He thinks it's hilarious. He thinks it's the funniest name in the world. So I don't know. I'm just gonna hold that to my grave. So
One of
go
the
ahead.
things. Oh yeah, go ahead. Keep going. How many? What are the
Oh,
others?
there's just two more. There's TikToks. That was my first ever one. I still remember it's all based off the stonk meme. And so I have the photo, the profile picture is literally the stonk meme guy, but I smoothed out his face and put the TikTok logo on it. I'll probably get a cease and desist if that ever actually becomes a big thing. But until then, and then I just have By Sarby, which is actually the Instagram account that I use to grow my YouTube. So
Gotcha.
I was just kind of like, oh, this account's laying around and I'm already downloading all these TikToks anyways. And it was also an experiment to try to get more people over to my personal account. Because at the time I didn't put my meme accounts, I didn't put my name to those meme accounts. So for a while I was like, oh, I'm going to test it out with this By Sarby account. And so that's the reason why I have it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's all the meme accounts that I run. It's a fucking task.
seems like it. And that's what I was going to ask next about like your content strategy. But before I get to that, I kind of wanted to ask the idea of like, so you have like accounts with a lot of followers and they're like different followers for different reasons. Like you mentioned one account, you just have a lot of people who followed it simply because they're dyslexic and they think your content's funny and relatable along with the name. But then you have like your personal account and you have all these other different types of accounts. So like at the end of the day, how do you define your audience or audiences, and like how has it been kind of feeling the community aspect of it in regards to each of them?
Yeah, it's honestly a work in progress at all times. So one thing I have found is a majority of my followers are women, and a lot of the most interactive followers are like under the age of 18, because I think, especially with the pandemic, Gen Z and below, they're growing up on their phones right now, and their community is more online than it is in person, or they're more comfortable. So like a majority of my following is 18 to 24-year-olds on pretty much every single account that I have, but a majority of like the comments and the interactions and the DMs that I'm getting are from people who are under the age of 18. So that's really interesting in terms of what's funny to 18 to 24-year-olds is definitely different than what's funny to like 13 to 18-year-olds. So it's kind of this like happy medium of trying to figure out like, how do I post things that are both funny to like our age demographic, but also to their age demographic. Does that make sense? Like, it's just, obviously there's a little bit of a disconnect between wait, when are you guys? You guys are a year older than me, right?
96.
96?
Yeah.
Declan?
Same.
96. Yeah.
Okay. I'm a 97.
Going off that though.
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're in that weird, like, sometimes we're considered millennials, sometimes we're considered Gen Z. A lot of people group us into like, hey, you're both, and you get like different aspects from each. So I don't know, but it's really interesting just messing around with the ages. But what were you saying, Declan?
Well, if you go to our good friend, the Gen Z guru, Jonah Stillman, he does say that the best leaders come from the borderline generations because they have that relatability to both spectrums. They understand where their perspectives are on each end. They're not like, oh, look at them Gen Z, or oh, look at them millennial. They have a perspective of like, oh, I get where they're coming from type of thing.
Yeah. And then, and even from our perspective too, to add on to that, Andrew, it's like our bosses and the people that we've grown up with as teachers and parents and current bosses and coworkers are all older people that are what, Gen X? Is that the one right after millennial? So it's like, we even know that step in that we have even one more generation to hop in terms of the people that we associate with and work with all the time. So yeah, it totally makes sense. And I can just see ourselves like flourishing in that way, probably with your content too, Ben. And so you are right. I think there is a happy medium in trying to balance like what's funny to us or what's funny to a young kid, right? There's definitely a difference when you think about what you thought was funny back in the day. But I would say like what's genuinely funny to you, like when you put a piece of content and you just can't stop watching it, like, is that content just, are those the ones that end up hitting no matter what? And you like, they do, like maybe they do well, they don't do well, but like traditionally what happens when you make a video and you absolutely love like the actual content and humor behind it?
Yeah. Depends on the content, what platform you're posting and what type of content it is. So like, obviously like when you're reposting content, which is a majority of my meme accounts, it's pretty easy to like, you know, at that point it's like, oh, I just look at how many shares it's getting on TikTok and then repost it to Instagram Reels. Like there's nothing special, but in terms of me actually like creating the content, it's a lot of what I found is Instagram is better for general, like a video that goes viral on Instagram will usually not go viral on TikTok. TikTok, it has to do with, I think, with the algorithm as well. Like TikTok is very, anybody and everybody could go viral at any moment, but your video has to hit. Like the test audience that it shows your video to, it has to absolutely slap. And then the next, because they have like a tier system. So like they'll show it to 200 people. And if those 200 people react well to it, then they'll move you up and they'll show it to 2,000 people. And then if those 2,000 people react well, 10,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's great for like at this point, the things that are going viral on TikTok are those just like absolute bangers of videos. And then a lot, I would say, of what I post is more like they're funny, but it's not a banger every single time. Like every once in a while I'll come out with a banger. Like I posted one 3 days ago and it has like 1.2 million views at this point. That's a banger. But most of mine are just kind of like they're funny, but they don't hit. They're not the bangers, or I don't know. I have this not bias necessarily, but obviously like if you're more attractive, there's more reason for you to watch the TikTok, rewatch time goes up, things like that. I'm not saying that I'm not attractive, but I'm not like I couldn't do thirst traps on TikTok. That would just, I don't think
That's not your lane.
that's not my lane. I know my lane. I'm more funny than I am attractive. I will be the first person to say that. But with Instagram, it's a little different because Instagram doesn't have that same one-hit wonder type of algorithm. Instagram, you have to consistently post over and over and over again, and eventually Instagram will see, okay, this person is committed to our algorithm. We're going to start showing their stuff to people. We're going to start gathering data so that whenever they post, we're going to send it into the ether that is our explore page and push your content. That's why, like, if you're starting a meme page and you post 300 times, odds are none of those videos are going to go viral. But if they're good videos, if you keep posting after that, Instagram will send you into the explore page. So a lot of my content that doesn't go viral on TikTok, that's like decent, but isn't amazing, it'll do super well on Instagram because on Instagram, I'm in the algorithm. So no matter what at this point, I'm pretty sure they're pushing my reels in front of new people. And I also have my meme accounts to kind of back them up. Like I put everything that I post on my story on my meme accounts. People make fun of me for it, but it's like, yo, I built those and they're traffic channels. Might as well. So those things together allow for those videos that might not hit as hard to go into Instagram's algorithm and get pushed rather than somebody who comes out with an absolute banger and posts it on their Instagram, but they just have a way less likelihood of going viral because they haven't been consistently posting to Instagram. That's why I've been kind of telling you guys, like, if you just keep posting these reels, like eventually you'll post a banger and you've posted enough of them consistently to a point where Instagram's like, all right, here we go into the explore page.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense.
Totally adds up to me, man.
And yeah, and through this journey, dude, I got to ask a core question here, man. So you've been working the system, understanding what it takes to be on these platforms and the consistency behind it. And I'd like to ask you, what's your average quality? What is something that you deeply care about inside this system, inside your career, something that makes you, Ben? What's your average quality that this is something that you care about that you're trying to get better at each day?
Better at each day? I don't know. I just try to be like a better person every day, you know? Like lay a brick every day and eventually you'll have a wall after, 365 days or your entire life, right? I don't know.
So yeah, let's unpack that. So we've I mean,
right,
so you lay bricks too. Interesting. So do we.
So do we.
Have a wall out back.
Yeah, we got a wall.
Okay.
This is actually like one of our best friends, Mark Amick, says this consistently. Every day, lay a perfect brick. Take your time, be thoughtful about it, lay a perfect brick, and soon you'll have a home. But what does it take to lay that brick? What does it look like in your life to make sure that you're doing what you love and to be better?
Yeah. So I will, and this was also my answer. I forgot you guys asked that question. I remember the back quality. Yeah, I actually for my back pocket answer, I had like two things I was going to answer. One of them was going to be consistency and habits. So two of my favorite books are The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson and The Power of Habit by something Duhigg, I think. But if you look up The Power Habit, and they're these great books that pretty much say the same thing, but in just different ways, where consistency is the most important thing. Like, if you really look at what I do, it's not phenomenal. I literally just post 12 memes every day, which isn't hard. The hard part about it is just doing it every single day. Like I was looking, I mean, if you go to my meme pages alone, I have over, 1,600. I have probably over like 4,000 posts to them. And most of those have come from in the last year. I've probably posted Instagram, I would say safely I posted Instagram in the past year at least like 2,000 times. Like just including those accounts, not even accounts that I started and just stopped doing because I wanted to focus on those ones. So a lot of it is consistency is super important in anything that you do. You just have to every single day. And that's what I'm trying to get better at. And that's one thing that I struggle with too, with like content creation, because you run into those lulls where like, I'm not really feeling it today. I'm not feeling that spark, that like thing that makes me want to content create. Because honestly, I'm a little burnt out. Even the things that you enjoy the most of in life, I feel like you can get burnt out of them. But it's knowing that consistency is key. I need to keep doing them. And there's a difference between like taking a super long break and a short break. So like just this past weekend, I took like a 3-day posting break and content creation break from TikTok and Instagram, because I was like, I had like almost like a little mental breakdown where I was just like, I'm so in my head about making these videos and posting them and whether or not
Andy,
they're
hit
good
record.
enough. Oh,
Sorry. Keep going. You just got to hit record.
no, you're good.
saw-
I think it's probably
it-
on yours.
It's on yours actually, Ben, because you started
Oh,
getting
is
all
that mine?
choppy. Yeah, you
No,
got all
no.
chopped.
Am I
It
good?
recorded. It's
Oh, it
going.
did. Okay. Never mind.
Am I
Anyways,
sorry?
I interrupted you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're
Continue.
good. Oh shoot, now I forgot what I was.
No,
What was I saying?
you were talking specifically about how you run into these lulls and you get into these places where it's just like tough to continue to create content, and then you're getting to the point of like how you kind of come out of that.
Yeah. I like a couple days ago, I kind of got in this like very in my head, like, oh, like these video. It was when I was getting, I got a couple of community guideline violations on my page, which puts you in Instagram jail. And I was just like, like what if that happens to my personal? Like it's never happened to my personal. Well, like Instagram, I mean, they gave me a community guideline violation because there was this trend on TikTok going around where people like girls would say like, I hate all men, but when and then it's like some bare minimum, like he rubs my face and then all of a sudden I love men again. Like it was just like a trend on TikTok. Like it wasn't like actually trying to incite hate on men, but Instagram's AI picked up like I hate men and then was like, this is inciting hate against men, which don't even get me started about that. That shouldn't even be like something you actually get mad at, but here we are. And I got really in my head. I got really like, this content isn't good enough. And then on top of that, like, what if I post this not good enough content and then it gets me in trouble? And so I took a posting break, and that's okay. Like you should take breaks. You should not let yourself burn out, but there is a very valuable aspect to doing something consistently every single day. And that's something I'm trying to get better at, is like letting that bleed into everything, letting that bleed into not only my pages and my personal content creation, but also in my workflow and in my gym schedule and in my diet and things like that. And that's where the habits come in. Is habits are so unbelievably powerful because it's just what you do, right? Like you have a habit, Andrew, of hitting your vape, of nicotine. Like imagine if that habit was something a little bit more productive than vaping. I'm sorry.
Great example. Great example.
Dude, I'm like a huge like no vape person. To me it makes no sense. I'm like, all right, so you're paying like $20 extra a week to decrease your life expectancy for a light head rush.
Yep.
Damn.
Yes. Spot on, man. What else you got for me?
That's pretty much it. That's all I got. But what I'm saying is like there are so many things in the day that we don't even realize. Like if there was a habit to replace that one, it would just. You've heard of the flywheel effect, right? It's that thing where like people would like honestly, literally slaves would like go and like they push this flywheel, and like starting it was a pain because it was heavy. It usually was to like used as like almost like a crane to like bring things up and down that were usually heavy. And like when you started moving it, it was super hard, like super duper hard to get the momentum going. But once the momentum was rolling, it was super easy. So like in the Power of Habit, it talks about like those habits are really hard to get going right off the bat and to like see results from. But as you get those habits rolling and running, then it becomes automatic. Then you barely have to push it to keep it going. So, for example, like fitness, if you just have that habit of going to the gym every day for even 45 minutes a day, if you do that for 4 months, you're going to see results. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour and a half. And it might also turn into something where like, oh, I'm only going to the gym 30 minutes a day, but I'm building this habit to a point where then I start taking it to oh, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour a day. That's why whenever like anybody's like, oh, I want to start going to the gym, if they start off by going 2 hours every single day, they're going to burn themselves out. So you want to be more focused on, okay, I don't need to absolutely destroy myself right now. My main goal should be building habits. So with your consistency, with, you know, something I'm trying to work on every day, it's literally just build better habits and then make them consistent. So for me, that's like, once I get done with my work, I immediately go and I make TikToks. Like, I'm like, all right, I got to sit down, listen to sounds, make as many as I can. That might be 0. That might be 4. It really just depends. But I want that consistency. I want to start building that habit of like, normally after I'm done working, I just want to lay on the couch and just watch Netflix. But replacing that habit of laying on the couch and watching Netflix, or excuse me, that habit of laying on the couch and watching Netflix is not going to get me anywhere. Taking it and turning it into an hour of TikTok content creation, that's going to get me somewhere. So that's, I don't know. I don't know if that really answers your question, but consistency, building habits.
That's awesome, dude. I think that totally answers the question without question. Like, totally. And what's cool about it is like that is something that you're like legitimately accountable towards. Like when you just alluded to the Netflix story, it's like,
I mean,
it's so easy.
I'm pretty bad about it. So, and that's the thing. I love Jeff Olson's book.
You watch his Netflix a little bit more than you should.
I do. No, 100%. Like sometimes it's just those days, you know, like those days. And that's one thing I feel like is really great about Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge. He talks about like consistency is key, but you also get very in your head about like I was super in my head about like, oh, I haven't posted on Instagram in 2 days. Like more than any, when's the last time you posted on Instagram, Andrew?
The beginning of March.
Did the world end?
No.
I literally was sitting there like I haven't posted on Instagram in 2 days and I was freaking out. And so like and like I do get in those moments where I get weak, like where I'm like not like weak, but like I need to escape. I need to watch Netflix. And like that's the one thing that I love about his book is he's like, hey, it's okay. Like you're just off track. You need to make sure that you get back on track, kind of thing. So next time you start migrating towards Netflix, like let yourself have this moment, but next time you have to be accountable with it. And that's something I've been decently good at. But I mean,
That's amazing.
I wouldn't praise myself and say like, oh, I'm the best at this, because I'm not. Like I hate those, like, you know, I'm very weary about motivational speakers that don't say like, oh, I have flaws. Like I sometimes don't wake up at 5 a.m. Like sometimes I sleep in. Like those ones scare me because I'm like, there's no way. Like unless you're a robot, there's no way there's 0 days out of your life where you're like, oh, I'm not going to get up at 5. I'm going to let myself sleep in, because that's just like, I don't know. Maybe they do, but that doesn't sound human or healthy.
Sounds like they're a cyborg. I think we need to put them on cyborg alert for sure. And whenever you start seeing those types of tendencies within anybody, then you're like, all right, dude, let's get you fucking tested and make sure we're drawing blood when we stick the syringe in. So like, I think it's beautiful that you said that though, man. Like the fact that you're willing to admit like it's, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not the one who's getting up at 5 every day. I'm not making the content every single time I'm saying it. Like I may be preaching and telling people like be consistent. That virtue's still there. That virtue still exists. That's why like those people who did wake up at 5 a.m. are so great as tools for people to look forward to and aspire to, not necessarily achieve equal to or greater than. And I think the other idea of like just being aware of it when you don't do it is basically where you need to stop. Like if you decide to watch the Netflix that one day, if you're aware of the fact that you didn't create the TikTok content and you're a little bummed out about it, just make sure you remember that you were bummed out about it, because the next time you go into that situation, you're going to ask yourself, okay, do I want the cheap pleasure of season 4, episode 5, or do I want to not feel bummed out and do something that I actually care about? And so that's kind of what it comes down to, is like, don't don't let your consistency create anxiety. And I think we do that all the
Yes.
time. And I've done that personally a ton, but I've definitely implemented this practice of what you're talking, where it's just like, man, if I didn't get that piece of content out there and I missed my opportunity, like, definitely bummed out about it, but like also not the end of the world. And wait a second, what did I actually use my time? And like, was that valuable in any way? Like, were you watching something on Netflix that like gave you new perspective, or made you think in a different way that you never had before? Maybe that's good for creativity for the next time around. Like, those types of thoughts, I feel like, just need to be brought to the forefront.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And in these situations where you're recognizing, okay, this is I don't feel great that I'm doing this. That's okay. Don't judge yourself. That is something that I'm working on constantly.
Yeah.
Is judging how I'm feeling. If I'm like angry or if I'm sad, and then I judge that emotion, it's just a spiral of like, oh, now I'm more angry. Like now, like there are so many times where it's like a double arrow, where like I get a little ticked off that the Wi-Fi isn't working, or that a client isn't responding to me right
Yes.
away, or that we have so much on our plate that I feel overwhelmed. Like these situations happen constantly. And if I judge that very situation with more like fret and angst or anger or sadness, it's a double arrow of a deeper spiral. It's so hard to do, but it sounds so simple. But when you have these emotions, just to recognize, okay, I'm having this emotion. I don't judge it. This is real. This is who I am. Okay. How do I recognize not to put myself in this situation? Or if I am in this situation, where can I be a little bit better? It is such a fine game of constant repeat and consistency of, it is okay to be angry. It is okay to be sad. You don't have to judge yourself for it. It is okay not to get that content out and be angry that you're not getting that content out. Don't judge yourself for it. Oh my God, it is quite the process.
100%.
And that can be applicable to everything.
And I even think that's a habit, like that little voice in your head, that when something happens, when shit hits the fans, that what is that voice in the back of your head saying? Is it saying like, oh, get mad about it, get angry, like start kicking things because, you know, your audio didn't record the way that you wanted it to? Or is the voice in the back of your head saying, all right, shit happens, how do we fix this? And that's what I've been trying to fix as well, in terms of like when I get anxious, it's like a steamroll effect. And I get anxious about like, there's so many Slack messages coming in and there's so many people wanting me to do things. And like, I'm in this client call with somebody and the clients are all over the place. And then I'm also like, all right, I got to edit my podcast tomorrow or like tonight, and also go hang out with the Back Pocket Boys and help them shoot DMP, like all these things. And it's almost like instead of letting that voice inside of in the back of my head be like, have a habit of it being like steamroll, the world's gonna end, you're never gonna be successful, like you're gonna die,
You're
like,
not being consistent.
yeah, let it like
You're
almost,
gonna
almost,
die.
almost like it's like a yeah, I realized I said that and I was like, that's not gonna. But sometimes, have you ever felt so like anxious or so sad that you're like, this is it, it's the end? Like I have felt that before, and I don't know if anybody else has felt that, but it's just like sometimes I just get so in my head, and it's subconsciously I still have that little voice that is like, yeah, like steamer, let it snowball. But it's almost like all right, now I have to consciously check that voice by saying, no, like it's fine. And here's why it's fine. Like, you love doing the DNP with the boys. Like, it's so fun. It's a great way to meet people. You love doing your podcast. Hey, even if you don't get it done tonight, you can get it done tomorrow morning. Like, hey, you're in this client call. They're all over the place. But at the end of the day, you control the social media. So it's fine there. Oh, these Slack messages are coming in. Just close Slack for right now. We'll check those when we can check those. Having almost like training yourself to check your subconscious voice and replace it. Because eventually, I truly believe eventually there will be that subconscious voice that's telling me those things without even me having to check it. Because your subconscious is so powerful. It like controls 99% of what you do. And I think a lot of it is we've all just trained our subconscious to let ourselves fall deeper into those anxieties or those depressions or just those little things. And it's just hey, now we have to, once you know that, you have to constantly check it over and over and over again.
Yes. And with that, man,
I love that.
It's incredible, dude. And with that, in these situations, what do you have in your back pocket? What do you use to overcome this pressure becoming stress? Anxiety's rising. Ben, what is in your back pocket?
Can I just say, I love the way that you sneak this in every single time. Not even sneaking it, but like segue it in. Like, that's one thing I'm so bad about with my podcast. We're just like, all right, that ended. Let's go talk about something else. Like, I love that. Okay, so I mean, when that stuff rises, I think I answered that. Like, when that stuff rises up, it's literally just knowing your subconscious is strong, but it's not concrete. You can mold it by using your conscious to mold it into what you want it to be. It takes time. It's not going to happen in a day, a week, a month, even like a year. Like, it's going to take a ton of testing it, but as long as you know, and as long as you're doing that, you're fine. What I was going to answer for my back pocket question, because I knew you were going to answer this, was number one, the consistency and habit thing. But number two, like, just a curiosity. I think, like I said before, you can connect the dots looking backward, but you can't connect them looking forward. And a lot of the things, a lot of the dots that I look at is just me being curious, me being like, oh, I want to know why this guy's writing his copy this way, or I want to know why this guy's doing his social media this way, or I want to know why this meme account is getting millions of views organically and why mine isn't. And it's just always like wanting to know the things that you're interested in, because I honestly think some people have, or it's wanting to know and then taking action on it. Excuse me. I truly believe everybody has like that yearning for curiosity, that yearning to learn something that they're very interested in. But a lot of people are afraid to actually like deep dive into it. And it's a lot easier to deep dive into a Netflix show rather than something that you're actually passionate about, that you're actually interested in. And I would strongly urge everybody, let your curiosity just drive you. Like, if you can just spend an hour a day looking up, hey, I've always wondered, like, how to underwater basket weave, like whatever it is, just let it take you to wherever it takes you, because I've done that my entire life and it has taken me to some incredible places. Like here on the Back Pocket Podcast with the boys.
I love that, man. I think the biggest, this is going to sound really macro, but like the biggest aspect of every part of this is like time. Like, when you start to look at time as you have none of it, then you start to get super anxious and you're like, how can I possibly accomplish this, and this all at once? And it starts to like play with you and you start to like get caught up in it. But then when you realize that that subconscious drive is not really associated with time, and you can just like, okay, let me take a step back and just prioritize and then take it one step at a time. Like, if you ask, I always kind of ask myself, well, what's the best way to proceed, and what's step one? What's the thing that needs to get done right now? And just kind of work from there. Like, those kind of things. And that all goes back to the same time aspect of it. And then when you look at it in the sense of what you're talking about just recently, which is like spend the time. So like, when you have a curiosity thing, like something that you're curious in, and you don't think you have the time for it, or maybe you just are like, if time's going against you in that sense, like, find ways to make the time. I know we had mentioned earlier about maybe, don't block out time for creative things, because you're going to run yourself into the ground. But like, let's also remember, like, people have never even made time for their creative things. I think we're just speaking from a realm of where always the majority of things we do is creative, but like, some people don't even have that creative time. So maybe not, message isn't like, don't have creative time. Or for our sense, it's don't do too much of it, because you'll burn yourself out. For them, it's, for other people, and for all, even us too, for new adventures, but like, spend the time on it, like, actually put a block of time towards like something that you've never, like if you really want to learn basket weaving, again, going back to your example,
Underwater.
Don't forget the underwater.
Underwater. Yes. Like, if we're going to take the time, like, we're going to find out we need our scuba license, and that's step one. Like, you would have never known that. And then now you're going somewhere to go learn scuba lessons.
Yeah, no, it's so unbelievably stupid cheesy, but like you got to remember you're gonna die. Like one of these days you're just gonna roll over, and it could be tomorrow. Like I don't know, like this is so morbid, but I could get hit by a car tomorrow. Like that's just how it rolls. But like I think about what I do on the day to day, and I'm like, you know what, honestly, like I enjoy my work. The people I work with are great. We're working with some super dope clients. Like I run social media accounts for cannabis brands. That's pretty dope. I enjoy it. It's something I'm passionate about. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm doing podcast stuff. I'm doing it for my personal brand. I'm creating content. I'm, learning how to be better at it. And then I'm also spending time with dudes who are also doing stuff that are fun. And at the end of the day, like if I did get hit by a car tomorrow, cool. It was while I was doing stuff that I actually enjoyed. And like, I don't know that, but if it came down to watching Netflix or shooting a podcast with you guys, I would want future Ben, who's going to die, to want to be here. Does that make sense? Or wait, that's not the way to say it. I know that future Ben would want to be here rather than watching season 11, episode 5 of Criminal Minds. I don't know where that came from, but I guess Criminal Minds was the most recent thing I've watched, which
That's embarrassing.
What? Decky West Coast, are you telling me that you do not like Criminal Minds?
No.
Why am I even here?
Into the mics.
Oh yeah,
No,
sorry.
I honestly, I
I was
don't
trying
know.
to make like I'm dipping. Like
No, I'm just kidding. I think I've maybe watched 30 minutes of Criminal Minds ever. So like, it's
you
a terrible take on my end. I just think it's funny that you watch Criminal Minds, dude.
Andrew,
There's
do you
so
watch
many other
Criminal
cool
Minds?
things out
I've
there.
never. I don't. Declan said 30 minutes. I don't think I've watched a single minute of Criminal Minds. Don't even know what it is.
Oh, dude, I'm
Are
just
you-
saying. Hey,
are
you
you guys-
could get better about going on coffee dates. I think you get better about what TV shows you're watching, and just personal preference, personal advice to you.
Hey, Ben.
I
Ben.
am shocked and appalled right now.
I'm not gonna watch
Wait.
a crime show about someone solving something that just happens. It's the same. Isn't it a show where like there's a problem at the end and they solve it or there's a problem in the beginning and they solve it at the end? Like that's the gist of it. And you know it's
I
gonna.
mean, yeah,
solved
but that's
every
kind
time.
of that's a lot of shows. That's a lot of things that we watch. I feel like, dude. Okay, I want if listeners who've gotten to this point, I need you to DM Back Pocket, whatever. There's no way, dude. Criminal Minds is one of the most popular shows, and I just watch it in the background while I'm editing my podcast. I've seen everything, and it's just that good of a show. It's just something you can throw on in the background, and I can't believe both of you guys have not seen
hold
it.
on. I think there needs to be something to be said about random dumb shows that you put in the background of being
No.
productive. I think that rocks.
No.
Wait, no, hold on, Ben. I think what we're saying is let's unpack what we watch as we're editing, because editing things sometimes becomes monotonous, so there's something playing on in the background.
Yeah, that's true.
Working inside the TikTok algorithm, the Instagram algorithm, you're watching something monotonously in the background. For me, I either have golf on if there's a tournament Thursday, Friday, or I have Lord of the Rings, because you just play Lord of the Rings Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King on loop, and you'll never be bored.
I wanted to talk shit about what you watch, but Lord of the Rings slaps. I hate golf. I will say, I think golf is super boring, but I get why people enjoy it. It's fun to play. I think it's super fun to play. Same with baseball. I think baseball is super fun to play. You can't pay me money to watch that shit. I can't do it. But it still blows my so Criminal Minds is more I put on things in the background while I'm working or doing something that I've seen before, I've listened to before. So listening to new music while I'm working is very hard because I want to focus on the new music. And same with new Netflix shows. So most of the time when I'm editing my podcast, Criminal Minds is turned down to the itty bittiest whatever, so I can barely hear it, but it's just a background noise. It honestly just helps me focus.
Wow, how soothing. Yeah, I think mine in recent days has been a show I've never watched, but it's wild, and that's fun to have on the itty bitty audio. And you look up and it's just a new thing, and that's America's Next Top Model, and it's crazy. It's fucking nuts. I've never seen it in my life ever. But it's fucking bananas. There's so many things that goes on in that show, and it's kind of easy to keep track of, to be honest.
Decky,
Tyra Banks does a great job.
Decky, does your girlfriend know that you watch this? Out of curiosity.
Well, my girlfriend watches it, and that's why I've picked up on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because to be honest, like full disclosure, I'm not the guy who's like putting things on in the background while I work, but she totally is. So like whenever we're working on stuff together, that is an example of something that's on the background, and I'm like not getting work done because I'm paying attention to the show, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like I can't believe this is a production.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a different loop than you guys. But Criminal Minds is probably one of the best like crime shows that has ever come out. Dude, I'm just so like, it blows my mind that you guys would talk shit about Criminal Minds. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk shit about Criminal Minds. Like ever.
Like at the end of the day, I really don't know what it's about, but I get the gist.
That was a nice.
And I'm talking shit to just talk shit. Also,
same.
Andrew and I, like total combined, we've watched Criminal Minds for 30 minutes, but then we like turned it into like, oh, you watch a dumb show, so do we. And that I think that even insulted you further, which I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do apologize, but I think you're right. We're in different loops. I'm in a different loop right now.
I would highly encourage you guys to watch it. It's really good.
I'm not gonna watch.
I can confidently say I'm never gonna watch it.
Oh, are you serious?
You couldn't pay me to watch it. I'm sorry.
I'm so butthurt. I'm so butthurt right now.
Man, why you butthurt, dude? I'm not curious in watching Criminal Minds where you are. I'm gonna like tell people now, like, oh, dude, you guys got to get a grip on this dude. He's curious about criminals and minds.
Yeah, dude.
But like, my whole point is like, I guess at the end of the day, I know we're joking around, but like, it's just like if you're curious in it, then you're gonna go for it. And I'm not curious in Criminal Minds. I'm not going for it.
I love that you swung it back around. Swang it. Swing.
Didn't we
swang?
Swang.
I think.
What was the thing that we had with Taylor Fondy, where I said something and it was swang, swung, or swing?
Wing.
Wang,
or wong. Like
Yeah.
winged it, wang it, or wong it.
And I said wang it, and I think it's
Wong it.
wong it,
It's definitely wong.
but there also is winged it. Allegedly.
So
winged
we're at
it.
swing now.
I wonged
Yeah.
it. Swinged it. I don't know. This is way too. I'm like 2 seltzers in, and honestly, I'm like 5-5 on a good day. So this shit's slapping me right now. I can't focus on this.
Swings, swinged, swang, or swung. I think it's swung. I think it's swung because wong is what it was originally, right? So it's got to be swung if you put an S in it.
I think you're
that's
right.
just
Swung would make sense.
swung makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna say
Nonetheless,
swang.
I mean, whatever it is.
I like wang. Or wang.
Right.
Wang.
Wang.
Don't
You like
don't get
wangs?
close to saying that, Andy.
I like Wang.
Don't let
Andrew,
the people
how do you
flip
say your
that
last
out.
name? In Sierra? Is
No,
that
in Sarah.
in Sarah? Just
Yes,
in Sarah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. I want to put that in a picture frame, stick it on the wall in your new studio.
All right, we digress. Coming to our couple last questions here. We grow this podcast based on challenges, and our guest typically challenges us to have someone on, and then we go after
Oh.
that person, and we have them on the show. Ben, let's continue to tap in to your network and who you know, who you think we should know. Who do you think we should have on the show and challenge us with?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I mean, my reach in Minneapolis is. Are you talking specifically
We
just
can
Minneapolis
go
or anywhere?
right now. Looking Declan in Arizona and myself in Minneapolis. We can do this anywhere at any time.
I mean, I could connect you some pretty decent people. I love one of my favorite people that I just love to talk social media with is my friend Maggie Atchison. She has a 2 million subscriber YouTube channel with her cousins. It's called the Cheernastics 2. She built it, like she's literally been posting to it since she was like 12, and now she's like 21, I think. And she's like, she's pretty big. Like she's an influencer. She has like 100 something K on Instagram. People love her. And she's great. She's a phenomenal woman. I got to meet her because my fraternity was paired with her sorority, and we were partners in like this dance thing called Lip Sync. And since then we've just kind of always vibed, and I've helped her out with social media stuff, and we always kind of throw stuff back and forth. I can get you in contact with her. I feel like she would be a very interesting person to have like a Zoom interview with. She's just phenomenally like she knows so much about like social media, but she's also very like exploring like who she is and what she wants to do. She's doing like a clothing company. She's trying to build her own brand. So I feel like that would be a great guest for you guys. But
Say her name one more time.
Maggie Atchison. I'll put you guys in contact. I feel like you kind of have to with her. She doesn't reply to like random DMs very often. I don't think.
Sure.
But
Hey, we're a podcast. Want to come on?
we know Ben. No, I'll text her beforehand and be like, hey, I got these guys. They're really great. But she's cool, and I know she's trying to make a podcast push this summer too. So maybe you guys could talk to her about that.
Well, because that's a really good point, Ben, that you bring up. Because we've been on the rooftops across the globe screaming, "We're a podcast production."
Oh yeah,
company.
no, 100%.
And
I recognize
people are starting to grasp it. Would you say, Deck?
Yeah, I think maybe we change our
was like-
question to. I think we maybe change our question to who do you think needs a podcast, and who do you challenge us to produce a podcast for, or like challenge us to what type of podcast do you challenge us to produce? Maybe we just change the name of the question, or add that to one of our questions, because I think that'd be kind of cool to just like get more referrals, and honestly personal referrals in this case, to someone who's looking for the service. Like I feel like sometimes that's half the battle as we shout from the rooftops, because people hear it and like 20% of them are like, what's a podcast? 30% of them are like, I want to record a podcast. And then they have the meeting with us and they're like, oh, this is what it takes. Never mind. And the other 50% don't even know they want to start a podcast. So we need to find those people. So, and the industry is just growing. So like Andrew always says, if the industry is growing, like, do you believe in the industry or not? And so those are kind of if someone wants to start a podcast and is serious about social media, then that's probably a good match for us.
So I've told you this a little bit, or Andrew about this. I think you guys should really be targeting, because I mean you guys have the backing to it in terms of we've taken these people from zero to where they're at. Mainly meaning like Straight Candid. Straight Candid has been doing awesome. I think you guys need to find people with followings who don't have podcasts yet, and can like try to convince them to have, because number one, those are the people that can pay you guys.
Right.
Just straight up. Like at this point where you guys are at, you should be getting paid for what you're doing. And I think a lot of just like cold outreach to some people who I'm sure a bunch of people are out there who are like, oh, I should really start a podcast with the brand and the following that I have, but they just haven't taken that step into actually doing that. Did you guys ever reach out to Sebastian Georgie? I always fuck up his last name.
I don't think so.
At Seb on Instagram.
Is that the guy who's in
Arizona?
Is that the guy in Arizona?
Yeah, he's in Tempe.
I never reached out to him, but
or not Tempe.
Did you ever put me in touch with him though? I don't know if, because what our last conversation was that you were gonna help me get in touch with him, but I don't know if that ever happened.
Well, I remember you said you were gonna DM him, so I don't think we ever got there. But I can reach out to him again, because he actually started doing his podcast again. It's called the Improper Podcast. I'll send it to you guys. But he doesn't put it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But he has a big enough following where he can just post it to YouTube and people flood to it. He's
wow.
I will say, yeah, I'll reach out to him again and be like, hey, like I was talking to the guys, like, is this still something on the table? Because I know last time I talked to him, he said that his podcast wasn't something that he was ready to make an investment into. But I feel like now, I mean, he came out with like 3 episodes, like super under the table, just posting them. And with his name, he's not super big on using his social media anymore. He's kind of taken a stance that like Instagram is the downfall of society, and like you shouldn't spend that much time on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff. But I feel like that's an even better opportunity for you guys to step in and be like, hey, we'll do it for you, so you don't have to dick around on it. And that might be what he's looking for. I know he has the budget to do so. So I'll try to put you guys in contact. But that was a really long way to answer the challenge question.
Challenges accepted,
bro. 100%. I'll get you guys. I mean, you know me. Like I want to help you guys out a ton. You've helped me out immensely when it comes to, I don't know, getting situated in Minneapolis. Like I think about this constantly. If I hadn't met you guys and you guys hadn't responded to that DM, I probably wouldn't know the amount of people that I know here at this point. Like I wouldn't I would know a couple of people that I went to college with and the friends I've met through them. But other than that, I mean, I most of the time I probably spend more time hanging out with you guys and like doing stuff with you guys than I do with my friends on the side and stuff. So
Right on, man. Well, value add. Give value, get value.
yeah,
Give value, get value.
send DMs on Instagram. That's my
Yeah,
big
no,
thing.
seriously.
If you go through like
You're nailing it.
if you go through like hashtags on Instagram, like hashtag, I think I looked up for you guys, it was like hashtag Minneapolis podcast. If you just like look through hashtag wherever you are and then add like, if you're a photographer, add photographer, videographer, podcaster, creator, just find everybody who's posting in that hashtag, shoot them a DM. That's what I did. Not you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had Ian Deloney come on this podcast in 2019 and said the exact same thing. He ended up working for people like Gary Vaynerchuk,
Hell yeah.
Floyd Mayweather. The list goes on and on.
No way.
Because of a progression of cold outreach on DMs. It wasn't directly to the Floyd Mayweather, Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, but it was a progression of consistently doing it to people. And they so happened to eventually know someone like that. And it led him to opportunities he didn't even predict. The DMs on Instagram are a powerful tactic.
Dude, the fact that you have access to anybody and everybody now with just the little thing in your hand, in your pocket, that is a weapon. That is a weapon for success. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I'm not a man of words, but I know how to get shit done on social media.
Totally. No, I think you do, and it's just cool that when you put the action towards it, and you create a method to the madness, after each step you kind of learn something every single time. Like there's a new perspective gained. If the guy doesn't respond, or maybe he does respond, but then like doesn't follow up with your actual inquiry or something, like it flops, like the fact that you even got the response is another reason for you to like look back at your reach or on your cold DM and ask yourself why it worked, or like maybe there was something that you did there that ended up working in your favor. My whole point is you get a new perspective every single time, and it influences the next decision that you make. Like the dot example, like that direction of where you draw the line to your next dot is not always in the same direction.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's cool when you look back and you connect the dots. You're like, wow, I made this left turn when I was asked to make the right turn, and like, thank God I didn't take the right turn. I would have gone off the cliff. But it's those types of things that are obviously hindsight, but like nonetheless, it's a learned experience. So what I'm asking is, for you, Ben, from the time you woke up today to the time we're recording now, which for you guys, it's kind of late. It's almost 10 p.m. and you guys are sitting in the studio in the floral chairs. It's phenomenal.
Oh, damn.
And it's only 8 o'clock for me. I'm just getting started for my night, not to brag. But nonetheless, I'm just curious from your aspect, Ben, this is like one of our final questions, is like from the time you woke up today to the time we're recording right now, what did you learn?
Ooh. Man. That's a good question. I didn't do too much learning today.
Yeah, you did.
Come on.
I mean,
dude.
I try to do like every day I listen to something or do something that I actually do learn from. I was not prepared to answer this, honestly. I forgot about this question.
Should we go through your day? Do we need
Yeah.
to,
Do you want me to?
What'd you do
Shit.
today?
What'd you do? You
let's
definitely
see.
learned something. All right, well, hold on. Let's go back to what we were doing prior to this podcast.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't learn because it didn't work.
Well, we damn near tried.
Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so one thing I learned was Andrew and I just got like actual podcast equipment for my podcast. We were for the longest time just using our phones to record, which honestly worked decently well. And for like anybody who's like, oh, I can't start a podcast because I don't have equipment. Yes, you can. Like literally just whip out your phone. I know you have one. That's how we shot, I think, like 7 of our episodes. So use your phone. I got a mixer. I got some mics. I was trying to figure out the mixer today. I did learn quite a bit about it, I would say. It's recording in Audition, but I'm trying to get it to record 2 different tracks so I can edit each individually. and Andrew was helping me out with that. So you're right. That is something I learned today. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do
And we
appreciate
didn't quite nail it because we had issues simply just pulling the different mics. For some reason, Decca, maybe you can help with this, but one track was the only way you could select separate mics was through making it mono. And then they were mono, and we selected each track to be a different mic, but it still wouldn't pull that individual mic. And
Right.
we didn't know what the next step was for that.
Well, you'll have to send me like what the specs of your actual mixer is, and
Yeah, I'll
then
do that.
send me, and then through that I'll be able to figure out what your USB output is and what your USB input can take. So like your USB output for this for the one we're using in your studio right now is a 4x4 USB output. So it takes 4 input signals from 4 different mics and then outputs them as 4 different audio signals so that the computer can recognize 4 different things going on. Sometimes you can plug the USB into the wrong spot and it's only exporting one audio port, which is why it works in mono, but it's not picking up on individual mics. It's just picking up on it's only picking up on one audio track. So you always have to.
That's a great point, because I believe you told me, Ben, when you bought the mixer, the lady lost her USB cord, and I'm guessing you probably just bought a USB cord.
That might only be able to pick up one. That'd be
Yeah.
so depressing.
Well, just look at. No, I wouldn't say it's in the cord. I would say it's more in the settings of your mixer. Just make sure you're exporting 4 different inputs from your mixer, because sometimes it wants to condense it all the way down for you and then just have it as one base input. So it honestly helps you. It's still possible to do everything. You just need to edit all the mixing. You just do all your mixing on the actual mix board, which is why they do it, is so that none of it's handled on your computer. But like now all the interfaces is like, hey, take every single one of your audio imports and we can fuck around with every single one in post through USB connection. So you just got to check that out. And then if that doesn't work and everything kind of sucks, you could probably return it and get the one that we would recommend, which is like this next coming of Christ for $200. And it's
The Pod
Zoom
Tracker.
the PodTrack P4 by Zoom. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, Decky, I don't think you've heard this story, but I got my stuff off of Facebook Marketplace because I was going to order brand new stuff, and I was just like, I'm going to check this. Found this girl selling 2 Audio-Technica 2100s for
Nice.
$75 total, and those are like $100 a piece mics. So I was like,
Mhm.
steal. And then she's like, oh, I'll also send you this mixer too. So this mixer wasn't really my choice. Honestly, if it were me, I would have gotten that like the Focusrite, where you literally just plug stuff in and plug it in your computer, and it's like the easiest thing in the world. But this mixer board came, and I have no clue how to work it. So, but honestly, I'm learning right now. So this is what I'm learning today, is how to actually do audio the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, no, it's been done a billion different ways for, since radio and spoken word, obviously, but like in this day and age with podcasting, like it just everything got so simple, like so fast. And
Yeah.
Podcasts were easy to be made in 2 minutes, and like you can record from your phone, and it's better than buying like sometimes $70 mics and the mixer and everything. Like everything got so condensed and so quick that like some of these older models that could have been sitting in our office for 5 years could be like out of date, which is kind of weird to say, but like there's probably a good chance that might be why it's not working. So anyways,
100%.
I'd be happy to look at it.
I'm definitely gonna FaceTime you when I'm trying to figure this out one of these days.
Sure, dude, totally.
We'll circle back on this off air.
Okay, yes, 100%. Sorry, this is so long. How long have we been going?
Hey, we go the distance. We are a 10 rounds podcast. Tyson versus Frazier, Ali versus Frazier. We go the distance every time.
Love it.
Parts
that about
1
you
through
guys.
3.
Parts 1 through 3. Lord of the Rings. You know where we're heading. Ben, thanks so much for coming on the Back Pocket,
man.
and I continue to say you're a tremendous friend and asset to the Back Pocket, and I'm excited for what happens next.
Me too, man. I'm excited to see where we're all at in a year. I think it's gonna be great places. 100%.
All right, man.
Because we
That's a
remain
wrap.
consistent, right? And I
Yes,
think,
remain consistent. DNP every Wednesday, straight candid, everything.
Yes, sir.
yeah, back pocket every Tuesday, DMP every Wednesday, and straight candid every Thursday. We got yourself a full week of background noise.
That is just. Oh, you mind if I plug mine? Because then I can add the Monday.
Go for it.
If you
There you
actually
go.
enjoyed listening to me, check out my podcast. It's Sarby Studios, SARBY Studios podcast. You can find it on every major streaming platform. I mainly wanted to say that too because then it's Monday through Thursday because I post my podcast every Monday. So literally, if you
Right.
just
And if
listen,
you want a podcast produced by Back Pocket, then we can put yours out on Friday.
and then look at that, a week full of podcasts.
Exactly. But either way, dude, it's been a freaking blast. Andrew said it. It's been cool for us to like even take the leap and respond and just pour into you, man. Because the second I FaceTimed you that one day, I was like, oh, this kid's actually a genius. So definitely, and this kid definitely cares and knows a lot about what he's doing. And so like it's fun to like take that one dot and see and basically reflect these past 2 hours of just like how they've all interwoven and how like we've become good, genuine friends, dude. And it's going to be really fun to see where we go in the next year. So
Yeah,
thank
man.
you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap.